Hey, listeners. My name is Elisha, the founder of the Witnesses podcast. It's so beautiful to have you listening to our podcast. And I want you to know something that means a whole lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. And one thing I love to tell all of our listeners is it's not just about you listening, but listening to understand. Understanding is the most important thing. So important. So you have to listen, learn, and practice. Thank you so very much and happy listening.
Hi, Paul. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. Okay, Paul, oftentimes I love to talk about the essence of this show, which is to invite amazing guests, amazing guests like Paul to come talk to us about their triumphant stories. Because we believe that in our audience, there might be some people who are stuck up in a situation that Paul came out of triumphantly. So by those people getting to listen to you speak, the words you're going to be sharing with us here today, you might actually pick some information from your words that might lead to their transformation. So it's all about transformation, transforming lives and all of that. All right, Paul. In the next few minutes, I want us to get started with your story, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. And afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Paul, over to you.
Yeah, so I firmly believe that all of us have a transformation story. It just depends if we choose to do it. A lot of my story resonates when I spent 14 years with the fire department. I started preparing for that career when I was 15 years old, and I stuck with that career for 14 years. But it was within that story of mine that, being a firefighter, um, in that realm, I just started to feel something different, that it was no longer for me. And I started feeling called to something else. I was not satisfied. I wasn't happy. My health was failing. And I just knew within inside me that something was missing. Right. So then I began to start searching and seeking and trying to figure out what it was that I was missing within my life. And, not a lot of people will actually leave the career that they're in out of fear. And so that is a key piece of transformation, is you have to be willing to step into the path of fear of whatever it is for you. Maybe it's leaving a job. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's moving to a different state or country. Whatever that fear is that you feel inside, I would have you consider that is the path that you must walk in order to satisfy that feeling that you have, in order to satisfy God's calling for your life.
Beautiful. I got that. Okay, so shall we get started with the questions now?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so let's say someone asks you, hey, Paul, I struggle with fear. So can you talk to me? How can I overcome fear? What would your response be?
It's really simple. And as humans, we tend to overcomplicate it. So if we look at the concept of fear, right? Let's say our back is against the wall, right? If you physically think of putting your back against the wall, what is the first thing you must do in order to get your back off the wall? You got to take one step. That is the only way that you're going to move forward in your life, no matter what area it's in, is taking that one step. So a lot of times people find themselves with their back against the wall. Maybe they're in a job that they absolutely do not love. It doesn't fulfill them like for me it did with the fire department. You have to be willing to take that one step, even though it may be scary, even though it may be fearful. That is the only way you're going to overcome the fear that you have, is by starting with one step.
Beautiful. Okay, can you talk to us about sarcastic mindset? You get that?
What kind of mindset?
Sarcastic mindset.
Scarcity mindset?
Yeah,
Yeah,
scarcity.
so scarcity. Yeah, scarcity mindset is, unfortunately, it's kind of where most people live. Most people don't believe in themselves enough. And, what's equal to scarcity mindset is a limiting belief that you have. So, for example, for myself, I recently just published a book. And for a long time, I had this limiting belief that who's going to read my story? Who wants to hear my journey? Right, and that goes into a scarcity mindset of, you can choose to live in this place of not fulfilling your purpose, not fulfilling your calling, but it's only you that has the control of that. And there's people in our lives that place scarcity on us. There's people in our lives that place limiting beliefs on us. It could come from our parents. It could come from our spouse. It could come from our friends, right? But it's only up to you to choose to get out of that scarcity mindset. And so, like, I like to give the example. So, like, I grew up with I had great parents. They instilled a lot of great values within my life. But one thing I always heard was when it rains, it pours, right? And what that means is when something goes wrong, everything goes wrong. That's a scarcity mindset. You believe things are happening to you. You believe that things are not working out for you and for your life that you want. So you choose to accept that victim mentality and stay within scarcity. And it's actually removing yourself from those beliefs, removing yourself from that mindset that allows you to live a life by design, a life of purpose, a life of being fulfilled.
I love that. Okay, you mentioned your book. Can you tell us about your book?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have it right here. My book is called Beardology, um, and it's not about facial hair. Yes, I have a very big beard, but it has actually nothing to do with facial hair. What it has to do with is the verb meaning of beard. And what that means is to confront with boldness, to confront with resolution, and often defiance. And so when we talk about scarcity, when we talk about fear, we need to collide. We need to confront with boldness when we are faced with fear. We need to confront with resolution and defy the societal norms if we're seeking something other than scarcity. And so my book is so it's called Beardology, and then the subtitle is How to Discover Yourself in the Quest for Your Freedom. And I've lived my whole life with a beard, not physically, but proverbially. I've always been someone that rejects the status quo. I've always been someone that is bold in everything that I do, and that has led me to the position that I'm in now to end up writing a book. Like we were talking about scarcity, I never thought I'd write a book, but it was getting out of that mindset that allowed me that, what, I do have value to add to people's lives by telling my story. Leaving the fire department after 14 years, starting a business, growing a business, to coaching men has led me to my beard. And so a lot of my book is about my journey through that process of leaving and stepping into fear and getting rid of limiting beliefs. And at the end of every chapter, it gives you questions and presents things in a way that allows you to do that for your life.
Okay, you mentioned coaching men. Can you talk to us about that? What do you coach men on?
Yeah. So it is my opinion that in today's society, men are lost, right? And whether you're spiritual or not, there's so many men that don't know God, and I don't mean religion, spirituality. They just don't have it, right? We've come so far away from spirituality. It's not even funny, but men today are lost. We see men that are overweight. Men are addicted to porn. Men are cheating on their wives. Men are not setting the standard for their children. And when so many men are lost, I mean, you look at marriages. Like I could just go down the list on the statistics, but let's look at first time marriage. the divorce rate's over 50%. And so that's not good, right? 1 out of 2 marriages will end up in divorce. But the next statistic, Elijah, is the most staggering, if you ask me. So let's say, for example, let's say I got married one time, I get divorced, but then I decide to get married a second time. The statistic for second time marriages ending in divorce is over 67%. So as a coach, what that tells me is, as men, we're not changing our habits. We're not changing our lifestyle. We're not being the standard. We're not being the man that God has called us to be to lead our families. And so I work with men every day that are in that position, men that are like me, that are searching for more, men that are like me that, you know what, I don't know, Paul, should I leave this job and start this business? Or, hey, my marriage is suffering over here. I don't know how to step up and lead my family. And so through my program, that's what we work on. We work on becoming the man that you are meant to be, becoming the man that has an impact on your legacy, a man that allows you to step up and lead your family the way that God has called you to be. And it's really rewarding. I love working with men. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm looking for men that are lost. That are like me, that don't have that feeling of being satisfied with inside themselves, and they know they're capable of more. So what I do is I just bring these men clarity. I present things to them in a different way of looking at it, in order for them to actually them to do the work themselves, to step up and be the man they should be.
It should be. Oh, Paul, I am so happy and grateful to God that you found your purpose. You know, God has created every one of us to be a solution to your diverse problems. And I'm so happy that you found your purpose, standing to help those ones who are stuck in um, challenges or situation or another. That's a very great thing to do. Nice one, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So still have, okay, 2 more questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's get personal a bit. Let's talk about your beard. You've got
Yeah.
a
Yes.
big beard. So can you
Yeah.
talk to us about your beard? Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. So the beard is working for the fire department. I had to shave every day, right? When you're a firefighter, you're not allowed to have a big beard like this, because you have to put on your SCBA, kind of like it is on my book, right? On that one half, that is how you breathe clean air when you go into a fire. And hair and light small stubble or goatee will mess with that seal that's around your face. And so being a firefighter, you can't have a beard. You got to shave every day. And so for 14 years I shaved every day. And it wasn't me, right? And this is so much of my journey as well. Like, I wanted a big beard. I knew I was able to grow facial hair in high school, and I chose a career that prevented me from doing that, prevented me from being who I am. And so, my nickname is the Beard Man. Much like Batman, but I'm the Beard Man, just because I do have such a big beard. But the beard became my symbol for my freedom. So as silly as it may sound, when I decided that I was going to leave my career being a firefighter and I was going to go start a business and become an entrepreneur, like, the next conversation with my family was, hey, I'm growing a beard, especially with my wife. Like, hey, I'm growing a beard. I really don't care if you like it or don't. That's who I want to be. And so that was 8 years ago. And I've just continued to allowed it to grow. And, it's taught me patience, and it's taken me places I never thought it would take me. I'm a Guinness Book of World Records holder for my beard. I've stepped on stage and been judged in national beard championships for my beard, and I took second place. And it's allowed me to take a lot of different paths that I didn't think it ever would, and then let alone write a book called Beardology, which again, ironically, has nothing to do with my big beard physically, but it has everything to do with the story and my journey of discovering myself for my own life's freedom.
Beautiful. Okay, Paul. In conclusion, let's say there is one piece of advice you love to give to the audience. What would that be? And let's say there are someone's listening who would love to learn more about you, get your book, Beardology,
Yep.
and reach out to you. How can that be possible?
Yeah. So I think the one piece of advice I would give is it has to do with collision, colliding, confronting, right? Um, we live in a society that we're afraid of confrontation. We're afraid of not being accepted. We're afraid of not being bold. And I would have you consider the opposite. If you're somebody that's struggling in any area of your life, let's say you're struggling in your marriage, you're struggling in your job, you're struggling in your body, you're struggling with your spirituality, you need to collide. You need to collide with whatever that is. And what I mean by that is when you decide to collide with something, guess what comes after that? Clarity. Collision equals clarity. And so, like for me, when I decided that I wanted to leave the fire department, I had to collide with that idea. I had to collide with that notion of what does that look like? And it brought fear, it brought anxiety, all of those things. And I had to collide and confront with that in order to live the life that I'm living now. And that collision brought me clarity, so much that had I not done that 8 years ago, I may not be having a podcast with you. I may not be writing this book. It was in that collision that brought me clarity to live the life that I've been meant to live, a life by design, not by default. And so, all the conversations I have with men, the podcasts that I do, you have to be willing to collide if you want clarity for your life. And so that would be the one piece. Like you can apply that anywhere in your life right now. You can apply that today. You don't have to go buy a book. You don't have to listen to a podcast. You don't have to go buy a program. Figure out what you want to do and collide with it first, and then the clarity will come. And so, but yeah, my book is available on Amazon and Kindle. So you can go get it on there. And then if you wanted to learn more about me, you could find me on Instagram, Paul M. Berens, spelt just like this. I'm on Instagram. I do a lot of conversations on there in the direct messages. Or you could go to Rise to Reign Collective. That's the name of my coaching group.com. So rise to reign collective.com. And we can start a conversation there if you're looking for more guidance and you just need someone to be a mentor to you, because that's what I do.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of the show, Paul. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Thank you for honoring the invite and thank you for coming, man. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Hopefully your listeners get some value out of this, and I'd love to just continue the conversation on Instagram.
Thank you for tuning in to this incredible episode. Your support means the world to us, and we truly value you. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.